Welcome to the British Motor Yacht Show in Swanwick Marina, where we've got a chance to look round the very latest Sunseeker Predator 74 XPS. Now, the Predator 74 itself is not a brand new boat, but this is the special edition XPS version, which has a number of very funky new features about it. Now, first and foremost is it's got more power. So this has twin 1900 horsepower MAN engines, which gives a top speed of around about 40 knots and a range of up to 330 nautical miles from its 4,800 litre tanks. But it's also what's on board that makes it rather special. So let's go and take a closer look and check it out for ourselves. So we can see that on the stern here there's a big lifting tender garage. That's all hydraulic, that lifts up to reveal it. This particular one is fitted with a new AB jet, but you can get a Williams tender in there too. But that only takes up about half this stern area. As you can see here, there is rather a neat little feature. So I can just lift this out. There is a folding barbecue just where you want it, on the back, away from all the action, so all the smells waft away straight off the stern. You can see there's a couple of drinks holders there, control for the griddle. Lift that back up. Now clearly this itself is a hydraulic platform, so that will sink down, and of course the tender itself is on rails, so that will just slide straight out of there into the water. We've also got a crew cabin. We'll just see if we can take a quick look at this while we're here. See if I can do this with one hand. There we go. See, that opens up, and then you can drop down into a fairly compact crew cabin, I think it's fair to say. But you can see that there is a couple of crisscross bunk beds, so one's running under there, one's up here. There is a washer dryer down here and a separate heads compartment and shower. So although it's tight and there's not a lot of natural light or air, there is a little port up there you can just about see, but it does mean you can at least have a captain on board if you want to. If you don't want the responsibility of running it yourself, you can have a professional crew, and there is room for a captain and a deckhand of some kind. Just back out of there, close that up. There we go. Now this is the full med spec, so you can see that all these steps are concealing little things. That's got the washdown hose in there. There is also a hose for washing yourselves down, your guests. Got all the shore power in there. Can't seem to open it at the moment. I think that's because the cable's in there. And there is a hydraulic passerelle that will extend out of there and of course go all the way and link up with the shore if you're moored stern to in the Mediterranean. Moving up onto the cockpit level, there's a very smart stainless steel gate, very hefty stern gear. You can see the big slightly curved cleats, and we have got some proper powered winches in here. You can see under there you've just got a little foot winch. I don't know if they're active at the moment, I don't think they are, but you can see there are powered winches to help you tighten up the lines. You've got all the controls here. These are the Bessonzoni controls for the passerelle. You can see telescopic in, out, raise, lower, all of that. So they're all controlled from there. And then here you've got the controls for the platform, the up and down hydraulic platform, and the garage door itself. Now over the garage there's a huge sunbathing area. It's a Sunseeker after all, so what do you expect but a massive sun pad at the stern. And then this lovely aft cockpit, which really is a big size actually. I don't know if it really comes across just how large this is, but they've got a very nice mix. It's kind of half and half space between inside and outside, because this is after all a sports yacht. You're going to be spending a lot of time outside, and it's quite right that a good amount of space should be dedicated to it. Now, as well as this wrap of seating, one of the things I really like the way they've done this is you've got these little sort of quarter-light windows here. So in this corner, when you're sat down here, you are perfectly sheltered. So even when you're hammering along at 40 knots, because of this little side window here, you get a lovely little sheltered corner. So no wind, no spray, really makes it that much more pleasurable when you are hammering along at speed. Now, this is part of the whole XPS package. The XPS is very much about a modern, slightly edgier, slightly more contemporary finish. And you can see this huge carbon fibre table here. The beautiful carbon fibre glossy finish to that. And this is a huge table. I can't really open it up now because we've got the flowers on display, but you can see that that whole thing spins around, opens up, doubles in size, so this entire area becomes one massive dinette space. Exactly what you want. It's also very nicely sheltered, so as well as those little side extensions, we've got a big overhang up here, and in fact there is this carbon fibre panel here that hides another canopy. We might just be able to extend that here. If I press that button, you can just see the canopy extending over there, so you can see that runs all the way out over that area, and that the entire space then becomes beautifully sheltered. Just going to close that there, make sure it doesn't foul anything, but you can see that goes all the way over, and that whole area then picks up the shade. So very nice convertible space. You can have as much or as little sun as you want in there. Now all these seats, they all conceal storage underneath them. If you lift them up, I won't open them all up, but you can see there is a panel there that all lifts up. You've got massive storage under there. And the other thing to point out is that this chair here, that lifts out, and that whole section lifts. You can see there is a passageway through there, so if you want access to that starboard side deck, you can take this seat out, and then you've got immediate access through there. So it just makes it a little bit quicker to get out if you don't want a complete sweep of seating, but if you do, you can have it all fully installed like that. Now over on the port side, a couple of things to point out. I mentioned these winches, but very nice to have a little locker here so that the rope tails can then all be stored neatly away in there and don't leave them lying around on deck. Moving further forward, here we've got an optional joystick control, so you've got complete joystick control from the stern where you're mooring stern 2 in the Mediterranean. Again, really handy to be able to drive the boat from here, so that while you're looking at the stern platform you can see exactly how close you are. You can edge in and have total control over that. We've also got the burning engine controls. You've got start stop for the engine, so you can run them from there, and you've got control for the griddle and the ice maker. So I think we now know what to expect under here. If we lift up this lid here, you can see there is indeed the griddle. You've got a sink, lift up tap. On this side there's a big cooling space. That's where you pile in the bottles of rosé, Chablis, a few beers, whatever you like. And then under here there is the ice maker. So very nice to have that on hand where you want it in the cockpit. It means you don't have to be shuttling to and from the inside galley. You can serve all your guests here. Now, I talk about inside outside space. This is clearly the outside space. This is the inside space. Big door that slides across to close that off, and that whole then deck area, the inside saloon, can all be completely separate. But what is particularly nice about it is you can also, so that's the table. I wanted to show you that going up and down. You can see those huge struts there, and that raises and lowers. But here it's not just the table that drops. This entire window door section drops down to open up the area between the aft cockpit and the inside saloon. So that whole door drops down between the spaces, and once that has whirred down, very quiet motors actually, it's really noticeable. In the early days these kind of things used to be really noisy, slow, painful things, but that's now incredibly smooth and quiet, and that whole space is now open. So what was the inside saloon and the outside cockpit, two separate spaces, they're now one big entertaining space. Really cool feature, that just completely opens it up and makes it feel like one entertaining space. Now you can see what I mean about this slightly more modern contemporary finish. We've got this very lovely grey effect, this kind of marble, white marble cream surface, lots of stainless steel detailing. You can see in here little stainless steel insets and these rather stylish knurled black knobs for all the cupboards. Just a much more kind of modern look. There we've got some of the entertainment system in there. This is just more storage, and of course you've got a huge TV in here. I think I might just see if I can find the controls for that. There we go. You can see there is a 55-inch television which slots into that little gap there and whirs up. That's all part of the optional entertainment package. I won't go all the way because, to be honest, it's just as nice looking out through these huge side windows. So I'm just going to pop that back down, tuck him away. Very neat, but you get the idea. There is a huge TV there if you want it. Now while we're here, let's just have a little bit of a look at the pricing. So the base boat starts at 2.77 million ex VAT, but once you have spec'd it up with the big engines, with the stabilizers, with the hydraulic thrusters, with tenders, etc., etc., this particular boat comes to 3.25 million ex taxes. So there's a lot of extras on board this boat. But then you can see some of that in action. So here we've got another one of those fabulous stainless steel and carbon fibre tables. I might be able to demonstrate this one a little bit better. Just see if we can. So this whole section on top slides across. Just see if I can pull that across. And then it opens up like so. And you can see how you've now got a full size table. Again, that is all on hydraulics. See if I can find the button for that. There we go. But that lifts up, so you can have that in dining mode effectively. Again, most of the time you're going to be eating outside at that huge cockpit table, but if the weather isn't quite up to it, you can raise that one up too, and you've got a full size dining table on this inside seating area. But just beautifully finished and engineered. It's all part of Sunseeker's new focus on finish and detailing. Big low level sofa, all now in fabric. Again, we sort of moved away from the more kind of leather look of previous boats to this much more softer fabric, more comfortable, a little bit lower level, very neat, unfussy, and low level, so you get the most of the views out through these huge side windows. So moving up to the helm area, there's a big storage space under here. You can see that's more of that carbon fibre detailing in there on that grab handle, but lift up and there's just a big storage space in there. We've got this rather lovely seating area here. I love that because when you're underway, particularly if you're an owner driver and driving the boat yourself, you actually want a few guests alongside you, and it's fun to be part of the action too. So really nice to sit in this area here. You can chat to the captain, you've got a view out forward through the windscreen, and best of all, you can take advantage of this huge sunroof over our heads. Now, it really does feel like an open boat when you're sat here. It's so enormous, that sunroof, just give you some idea of the scale. But that's what's so special about this boat, is you really do get the best of both worlds. You have a totally enclosed interior if you want it, or open it all up and it really does feel like an open boat. I might just see if I can find the controls for this roof, so I believe they're here. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like when it is closed up, you can see that's carbon fibre moulding too, but rather than it being a solid roof, it's made of glass panels. So even when it's closed, you still get a lot of natural light flooding in through that roof. So pretty quick to operate too, quite nice and quiet, slots into place, seals itself down, and now you've got an enclosed boat. You can air condition it, you can heat it, but you still crucially have that lovely view out through those glass panels. Helm station itself, again, got that dark black carbon fibre, and I have to say, in the sun that does get really quite hot, but it does look superb, very businesslike. You've got these two big twin Simrad screens, obviously touch screens. They will give you access to absolutely everything. I'm not sure they're switched on at the moment, but obviously for navigation, but also give you access to all the boat systems. I think this does too. You've got an overview. Let's see if we can have a little bit of a look at some of the systems in here. So here we've got the fuel tanks. They're at 22% of the 4,800 litres. You can see here, this has got full side power systems. So we've got side power stabilizers and side power hydraulic stern and bow thrusters. So they're all hydraulic. One of the advantages of having hydraulic thrusters is that they don't overheat, so you can run them for as long as you want to. You can pin the boat to the quay while you put the mooring lines on. It just gives you more control and less chance of overheating or burning out. Simrad controls for the screens, full searchlight, Simrad VHF, all the controls. Again, I like to have manual controls too, although it's nice to have all the systems and access and visibility through the Simrad screens. It's really handy to have immediate access to the core functions like windscreen wipers, anchors, horn, navigation lights, and of course that huge sunroof. Here is the Aventix joystick. So even though this is on shaft, it's actually on V-drive shafts, but you can still have joystick control because it's got access to the thrusters as well as the engines, and that can combine the two of them to help move the boat sideways or at an angle. And you've got the Seastar Optimus steering. Again, it just gives faster, more precise steering. So very, very well equipped boat. And of course, the two throttles for those big man engines, which we'll have a look at in a minute. Now, the other nice thing is that you've got an access immediately next door to the helm seat. So again, big swing door. You can see that locks into place, and it is a hydraulic system, so it actually sucks itself in. Make sure it's absolutely watertight. Unlock it, and then it will swing open. So really helpful to be able to get straight out to the side deck, as well as giving you a bit more air. You can have the sunroof closed, have that open, but also enables you to communicate with the crew or keep an eye on the pontoon when you're coming alongside. So let's have a look downstairs. So drop down on the port side, you can see you've got the seating area overhanging, but then down into the galley. And this is a rather nice touch. On the way down, there is this rather showy wine fridge. So all glass fronted, so you can keep an eye on your supplies, make sure your guests are fully watered with your various different chateaus, and beautiful glasses all carefully stored in there with their own little holders for the champagne flutes and the wine glasses and the whiskey tumblers. Beautifully done. Galley itself at the bottom of the stairs, quite nice because it's sort of connected with the saloon. You can still, it's still open plan, so you can still have a bit of a chat and feel part of the action. Obviously you are at a lower level, but equally if it is crewed, they can work away down here and not be too much on view. So there's plenty of stowage up above at eye level. Again, beautifully done with the tea set and the plates. Nice waterside window, opening port, help air the place a bit. Spice racks, more storage, nice sink draining unit, and that is easy access to the bin. Induction hob, 4-ring induction hob, Miele oven, little mini dishwasher, and then the main refrigeration. You've got a big fridge up top and then 2 freezer drawers underneath, so plenty of chilling space for supplies. And under this hatch here we have access to, my goodness, I'm not quite sure what that is, I have to admit. That's Dometic, so whether that is part of the pump systems, I can't quite work out. I thought there was going to be more storage for food under there, if I'm honest, but I've been caught out on this occasion. So moving back, this is the access to the master cabin. It's obviously full beam midships master cabin. Bit more storage on the way down, probably for towels and bedding and the like. But even here you can see this very lovely stainless steel inset into the cabin itself, and a very, very fine owner's cabin. Huge island berth. That's got to be a 6-foot wide berth. Again, these kind of muted grey contemporary tones, lots of detail. You've got a sort of suede Alcantara style bed head, lovely little twist lights with that same knurled black look, little carbon fibre inserts, recessed lighting under here, More a kind of printed leather effect. Very, very beautifully done with lots of detail. We've got fabric here, and then this lovely little breakfast bar area. I don't know how often people do actually sit and have breakfast here, but I love the idea of sitting here having your croissant and coffee with this massive hull window, enjoying a lovely view out. Little port that opens so you can get some fresh air in there too. This is quite a luxury as well. We've got a full walk-in wardrobe area. There is a little light up here, but full hanging rails, cupboard for all your bits and pieces, built-in safe for your valuables. So all the remote controls are stashed in there at the moment, but bit of a treat to have a proper walk-in wardrobe that is within the cabin, but equally you can shut it out of view. Another big screen TV set into the bulkhead here. Lovely kind of desk vanity unit area here, again in that sort of silver effect finish. Lift that up, you can see there's a mirror, storage space for jewellery, watches, etc. More storage under all of these, and in the bedside table, drawers, bedside lights, and this rather nice feature lighting overhead. Very subtle, it doesn't provide an awful lot of illumination, but it's just feature kind of accenty lights. And again, got little lights up in the deck head here. Just somebody's really thought about it and tried to make it feel special rather than just how do we whack a load of artificial lighting in here. They really thought about it and made it quite distinct, quite atmospheric. So then moving forward from the owner's cabin back through the galley, and this is another area I like. It's again a little kind of breakfast bar. You're unlikely to sit down here and have a full meal, but actually this is a really nice place to sit if it is a little bit chilly up top, or if you're just grabbing your breakfast. You can have your coffee on the bar there, you can sit around the table with your freshly baked croissant. Really nice spot, just when you want a little bit of privacy. You don't want to be on display, maybe if you're stern to in a marina. Lovely place just to grab a bite to eat, pour yourself gin and tonic in the evening. Probably not for breakfast, you'd probably stick with the orange juice for breakfast, but you get the idea. Just a very nice little relaxed area. And then through to the VIP cabin, right forward in the bow. But actually there is a good amount of floor space here. Although it is all the way forward, you have got plenty of footroom around the bed. You're not going to feel cramped when you're trying to get dressed in the morning. Bed itself central, little bit of a step up either side. There is some storage under here. You can see there's drawers underneath there, and then lots more storage around the side. So we've got a hanging wardrobe there, another nice little vanity unit that's on soft close, more storage, and all these eye lockers around here. Also just extra space to store your clothes. Nice big bed, not quite as big as one in the owner's cabin, that stands to reason. Those same little reading lights, two decent sized windows too, so even though you are all the way forward, there is a big hull window either side and an opening port, and of course a big TV, and then access to the ensuite. Very good size, lots of mirrors, storage behind there, big sink, and a separate shower unit with this lovely marble, and indeed the rain shower overhead. Which actually reminds me, I don't think we had a look at the ensuite of the main cabin, so let's quickly pop back and have a look at that. That was very remiss of me. How did I manage to do that? Here we go, completely forgot. So here is the ensuite for the owner's cabin. We've got the blinds down at the moment, obviously those all lift up. You can just tweak them like that to let a bit more light in. We've got a heated towel rail to dry your towel, nice big sink, and a big walk-in shower, again with these little accent lights, overhead rain shower, big handheld shower, and that marble finish. Really nice, good size, nice and private, but also you have got natural light and natural ventilation. So where were we? We were just doing the forward owner's cabin and then coming back to the third cabin, which is kind of guest cabin or kids cabin, But actually, even though it's obviously the least big of the three, there is really good headroom in here. So I'm standing up here and there's still quite a lot of room with me here, but then drop down into this well here and there's absolutely acres. I can't even touch the ceiling above me there. So even though it is the smallest of the three cabins, it actually doesn't feel at all cramped. Partly because you've got all that headroom over you, partly you've got another big window, you've got a mirror on this side bouncing the light around, you've got this accent lighting above. Again, lots of detail. The beds themselves are not huge, they're probably roughly not quite 3 feet across, I would say, but there's good space between them. Just hasn't got the full luxury of a big island double berth. There's a hanging locker in there, and you have got access to your own ensuite with its own separate shower. The only thing that differentiates this from the others is, although it is ensuite, it also has access from the lobby area, which I'll just show you now. So this is actually the bathroom that also gets used as the day heads. So when you've got guests who are just on for the day, you can close up this door, which is the ensuite access, and then you've got effectively a day heads that guests can use without having to go tramp through someone's cabin. So really handy to have that option. Obviously it means if you are staying in that third guest cabin, then you don't have your own private ensuite, but come the evening you can lock that door there and then use it as your own ensuite bathroom. Again, very decent sized shower, proper rain shower, same features, same marble, same level of finish, just don't have quite the same level of privacy because it does double as the day heads. And even here you can see there is carbon fibre insert. Another TV on the wall, so when you are sat at that breakfast bar area, again you can watch the sport, see what's going on in the Formula One, cricket, football, whatever you're into. So that is the downstairs space, which just leaves the deck. So if we wander back up on deck, let's start from around here. So this is the portside side deck. Here you can see those huge windows, big curved mid cleats, quite nice detailing there, little Sunseeker logo tucked in, and you can see there's lighting all around the deck. So these all light up at night, little pools of light. Here's this full height, you can see just how tall those windows are. That's as high as my head, this window. There's the little seating area next to the helm, and then walk up to this lovely bow area here. So again, this is another great socializing space, and it's nice to see there is a cut through in this walkway, so you can walk from deck to deck without having to go all the way around to the bow. But very nice socializing area here. Another big teak table. I like the way they've done that. So we've got the carbon fibre back in the cockpit, which is slightly more sort of formal zone. This, they've gone for the slightly more informal beach club vibe with a unfinished teak table. Lots of nice seating around there, and you can see tucked behind here, behind this headrest, is a really big canopy. So that's a manual canopy, and it's really just a sunshade, but it does mean you can pull that canopy up and have a bit of shade. You can all sit under here. Again, really nice in the Mediterranean when you're moored stern to in a port to have a much more private seating area up front where you can sit around the table, have drinks, and not be on show from the quayside. Now, of course, if you are going to be having drinks, you need somewhere to keep them, and hey presto, either side of this there is a little drawer fridge. So there's one this side, and you can see there is another one the other side, so you're never more than an arm's reach away from your next cold beer. Now, obviously, being a Sunseeker, you need places to hang out in the sun, and here is another huge sun pad. But again, I like the fact that there are these lift up headrests. It just means you don't have to be absolutely prone, lying flat. You can prop yourself up, read a book up front here. There is storage for lines and fenders on hand. Oh, just undo, there we go. So really handy to have that all the way up here. It means you don't have to traipse all the way back to get a line. The decks do run all the way to the front, and look how far forward that bow rail goes. So they're quite heavily flared. Just means you have a bit more space to operate around here when you're dealing with the anchor gear. Obviously, big stainless steel Lumar anchor. You've got a big swivel on there to make sure it comes up straight. Hydraulic winch, little lock off for the anchor chain. You don't want the hydraulics carrying the weight of that when you're pounding along at 40 knots, so there's a little lock that holds the chain in place. Obviously a couple of big cleats for your bow lines, and then access under here to the anchor locker. And this only's gone the whole hog. We've got the full stainless steel chain. Just means it flakes really nicely and smoothly, and rather than having a slightly crusty galvanized steel, you've got this beautiful shiny stainless steel that all flakes nicely down into that anchor locker. There is second access over here, and there's a bit of a shelf, so if you do want to bung your lines or your fenders, you can at least try and keep them a bit separate from the chain, or just chuck them down here. But I can't see anywhere to tie the fender tails to, so that's a little bit of an omission. It'd be quite nice to have something you could just tie the fender tails to and keep them accessible, rather than having to lean down and fish them out of the anchor locker. Those are the controls for the anchor. Just put your foot on there to wind it in and out. This central cushion does lift out, and this just gives access to the hatch underneath. So if you want to bung your suitcases down through there, you've got to have an emergency access from that forward cabin, so that also doubles as the emergency access. But it does mean you can get a bit more light in there if you leave the cushion off. And you can see there is a track all the way around this, so rather than having to stow the cushions away all the time, you can put a cover on, fix a cover on. That will keep them secure, keep the sun and the rain off them. Small thing, but again, really useful detail. And now you can see the full size of that roof. You can see it's a single gentle curve all the way up from the screen, just melds beautifully into that sunroof. And you get some idea of the scale of that. It is absolutely immense. Huge wipers on twin struts covering the full sweep of the screen. Just make sure you have first class visibility. Here's that helm door that we mentioned earlier. You can see how that swings out. So when you do have it open, it does obviously impede access down this deck a little bit, but swing it shut, push it into position, lock it off with my toe if I can. That means you then have access all the way down the port deck, back into the cockpit. And this was this lift out seat I was talking to you about earlier. That will lift out so you can get through into the cockpit. Again, the same setup with a locker for the rope tails and the winch. I'm just going to vault over here, just quick as do that, and then we can drop down into the engine bay. Have a look down here, open that up, here we go. So quite a steep ladder down here. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. My ankle is a little bit weak at the moment. I twisted it the other day, but we've got down. Here we go. So now you can see these big engines. We've got these twin 1900 horsepower V12 MANs. Lots of space around them because they're quite a long way forward. So the tender garage is further back than us. So unlike some smaller boats where the tender garage impedes over the engine space, that tender garage is further back, meaning you have got good headroom over these engines. You can see that these are actually on V drives, so I don't know if there's enough light, but you can see the gearbox and the shaft running forward to there and then reverses back down out this way. So the propellers are actually out the back there in tunnels, but what it does mean is that the engines don't have to be too far forward to get a nice shallow angle. They can have them quite close towards the stern of the boat and then reverse the shaft this way, back that way, get a nice low running angle, helps keep it more efficient, but then leaves space in front of the engines for accommodation. Now it's a little bit cluttered down here because we've got a load of show gear, but you can see we've got all the breaker switches along this forward bulkhead, got the MAN controls, got big vents and fans to keep it cool. Here is the hydraulics for those side power stabilizers and the thrusters. So big hydraulic setup in front of the starboard engine. Now got another fans and vents over there, keeping it all cool. Again, control for the starboard engine there. And if we make our way back through here, we can see that further aft there is the generator, so the Cummins Onan generator, just the one on this boat, and then access to all the steering gear way back there. You can have a water maker on this boat. It hasn't got one fitted, but there is room for that. So very nice on a big sports boat like this to actually have room to stand up in the engine bay and not feel like you're working in a really hot, cramped space. There is enough room to actually get to everything here, check everything you need to check, and not feel like you're in some overheated, airless dungeon. So let's make our way back up into the cockpit. Just close that up. Oh, that's on a little lock. So there we go. Lower that down. All done. So we'll finish that tour sitting here on this wonderful aft cockpit dinette. I hope you enjoyed the tour of the Sunseeker Predator 74 XPS. 3.3 million pounds worth of high performance, but also very enjoyable, very sociable space. I hope you enjoyed the tour. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.